Choosing a vegan lifestyle is shifting from a fringe movement into mainstream culture. In the US alone, there are now 20 million vegans, 6 times more than in 2015, as plant-based alternatives take up more space on supermarket shelves. Much of this shift is driven by one statistic. Food produced by animals accounts for 25% of all global greenhouse gas emissions. This diagram illustrates why. There are roughly 1.5 billion cows on Earth, and each one releases up to 120 kilograms of methane annually. On the climate change scale, methane's warming effect is 23 times higher than that of carbon dioxide. So what happens if all 8 billion of us suddenly stop eating meat, dairy, and eggs? Imagine a world where we erase the burgers, the omelets, and the centerpieces of our holiday dinners entirely. While this appears to be a solution for the climate on paper, removing meat from the menu would force a massive realignment of our environment, the global economy, and our own biology. On a planetary scale, the immediate environmental shift is significant. If we abandoned livestock production today, related gas emissions would fall by 70%. We can see the scale of this change by looking at land use. Currently, cattle pasture takes up 2/3 of all agricultural land. Without needing that for grazing, it could return to its natural state, opening millions of acres to restore forests and native grasslands. These restored ecosystems would act as a carbon sink, absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere as the trees and plants grow. From a macroecological perspective, a global shift to veganism provides a direct path toward reversing the current trajectory of climate change. But as we look at the societal impact, we face a logistical crisis. There are currently billions of farm animals on the planet, and in this scenario, the demand for them has vanished. These animals would likely face mass slaughter or be abandoned to predators. Because broiler chickens and modern cattle are so far removed from their ancestors, they cannot survive in the wild. Their numbers would dwindle until they died out in sanctuaries. The human cost is just as high. Millions of farmers and local butchers would find their professions obsolete overnight, leading to widespread unemployment. Entire rural communities have built their schools, infrastructure, and local economies around the production of milk, eggs, and meat for generations. Developing nations would feel this most acutely. For countries where the economy is built predominantly on livestock trade, the sudden removal of that industry would lead to a total market collapse. While the environment might heal, the disappearance of the livestock industry would disrupt the global economy and threaten the existence of rural communities worldwide. On a biological level, the results are mixed. This graph shows that an absolute vegan diet could lead to a 10% drop in global mortality. A diet free of animal products is linked to lower rates of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. This could mean 8 million fewer deaths every year and a savings of $1 trillion in healthcare costs. However, veganism doesn't automatically equal health. Without careful planning, vegans often lack vital nutrients like B12, iron, and calcium, which are easily found in meat and dairy. To replace the lost protein, global populations would have to rely on high volumes of beans, soy, and lentils. While wealthy populations can afford these alternatives, the 2 billion people in developing nations who already face undernourishment would find it nearly impossible to replace their primary source of nutrients. In this light, removing animal products improves health outcomes for the world's wealthiest, but it creates a survival crisis for the most vulnerable. Global veganism is a blunt instrument. It addresses the carbon crisis, but it creates deep economic instability and nutritional inequality. Fortunately, protecting the climate doesn't require 8 billion people to adopt an extreme dietary absolute. We have clean agricultural technologies that can reduce livestock emissions. Implementing these allows us to protect the planet without dismantling the global food supply. The path forward is built on smarter technology and moderation rather than total prohibition. Knowing that, would you consider skipping